What is good, everybody? Welcome to the 2024 live draft show here on the Gold Standard Podcast Network, part of the Fans First Sports Network. I'm Rob.
We still do these?
He's Levin Black. I know, it's the first round. What are we even doing here?
Yeah, we haven't had one since Trey Lance.
Wild, but we're back, baby. I love it. I'm so pumped. I've been locked in watching the draft. I've got it on a second screen here in the studio. Early on, Levin.
Studio basement.
Studio/basement. Early on, I was thinking like, hey, this draft is falling perfectly for the 49ers. Look at all these quarterbacks are going off the board. 6 of the first 12 picks were quarterbacks. That's never happened before. We didn't get an offensive or defensive player picked until halfway through the draft, as we're joined by Steph Sanchez. What up, Steph?
Yo, I just saw that the Chiefs traded up to 28.
With the Bills. That's interesting. So that's really interesting, right? So you've got the Chiefs who have been a thorn in the Bills' side, and yet you're making a deal with them. That's interesting. We'll get back to that in a minute, but I wanted to finish the thought. Like, all these guys went early. The draft was falling great for the Niners, Levin, and now I feel like in the last 5 picks, it's all gone to crap.
I wouldn't say all gone to crap. It just made it possible that the Niners don't have somebody fall to them that I really like. But there's still like 3 or 4 guys that I wouldn't mind. There's still Cooper DeJean that's out there that I wouldn't mind as far as corners. The Kool-Aid, I wouldn't honestly mind just because of all the things we can. I mean, we're going to call the whole secondary cool in the gang and get all those awesome songs to be able to be a common thing. So I wouldn't mind that for that aspect. But there's a couple players I wouldn't mind that the Niners take if they don't go with the offensive tackle at a reach at this point.
The Chiefs pick is in. It just flashed on my screen. I want to say Valerie Johnson. Is that a thing? Is that a human being that exists?
It's an AI, I think.
Okay.
A kicker. It's a kicker.
that would be fantastic. Let me just add a little insult to injury, though. Not only do the Chiefs beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl, now they're trading up ahead of the 49ers in the first round. Like, we can't have anything, damn it.
I mean, this is the Chiefs. They're not exactly the best first-round pick. They hit on Mahomes. They haven't been the best. I wish they would have gone running back here because they're really bad at drafting running backs.
Well, it doesn't seem to affect them, Steph.
Rob, did you see who the pick was?
It flashed on my screen, and I went to hit the fancy sound effect, and then I forgot the person's last name.
It's Xavier Worthy.
Oh, I was completely wrong. Totally wrong. I got too many things going on here.
I wonder if they felt they had to hop Kyle Shanahan from getting his Texas guy.
Mm-hmm.
Possibly, but what's interesting about the Chiefs making that trade? I mean, you just spoke about it a second ago. Not only do the Chiefs have the Bills' number, but also it had been kind of like widely reported the Bills would be looking for a wide receiver, and that made the most sense. They trade Diggs, and so for them to make that move and then the Chiefs to ultimately take a receiver there, I mean, I guess they were assured that wasn't the receiver that they wanted, the Bills being they. So I don't know. Maybe they feel like the guy they want will still be there at 32. I guess we'll see.
Speaking of things going on, the
Podfather.
Podcaster emeritus Javi Vega is here. What up, Javi?
What's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, cool. It's been a while. I haven't set this up in a while, so what's going on?
Look at Javi. Oh, I don't know how any of this equipment works anymore.
No, then he gave all his equipment to you.
Yeah, and then I had to buy a Yeti mic, so I went set. It's a little bit different, but no, it's good to see you guys. Glad to see y'all. Watching the draft, I'm like, this is really boring this year. Like, there's nothing major happening, and the Niners don't really have like a major need. So it's like, what do we do here? Do you just sit here and just wait till 31, and then Worthy just goes today? I'm not a fan of Worthy, so kind of glad he went to Kansas City. So whatever, but I don't know. It just doesn't. I wanted Graham Barton. I've been wanting Graham Barton for a while, but he went to Tampa. So I mean, we'll see where they go with this. Like, and then Robinson goes to Arizona. they have ways to go. I mean, they created a lot of flexibility with themselves. I don't know, but I think they'll be fine.
I mean, if the 49ers wanted any of those players, they could have traded up too. I mean, we are starting to see certain teams trade up, like the Lions, like the Chiefs just did. So I think the 49ers, though, are at this point probably comfortable staying pat at 31. I was just talking about it with Rob before we went live. Wouldn't even surprise me if they traded back. I wouldn't be a fan of that personally, but I think they probably feel they could still get the guy that they wanted, or one of the guys that they were kind of eyeing while still trading back. So who knows? We'll see. I do like a few options that are available to them right now. So I am pretty happy how it's turned out for them.
Who do you like?
First off, we got
Cooper.
a new record on our live numbers. Shout out to that.
That is over 1,300 people watching us right now. That is incredible. Ferrer Castro says, hi from fans, 5:30 a.m. here. Hope the best for our Niners pick. Shout out to you. That is a fan right there. So the Chiefs got they got 28 overall. They got a fourth rounder. They got a seventh rounder this year. The Bills get 32. They get a third this year, and they get a seventh this year. It's a pretty good deal for Kansas City.
That's why I'm not against a trade down. Boy, would it suck for this show and this night to wait all night long and then they trade out. But trading down is always, in my opinion, you get past like the top 10 picks. I'm all for trading down unless there's like a true, like once every 3-4 years, somebody that fell that you just got to hop on and take. Like trading down, you get so much value. It makes no sense to me that this is still a thing.
Yeah, I'm with Levin on this. I mean, the guys you shouldn't trade down past 42, 43. You could still get, Xavier Legette, Cooper DeJean, even Kool-Aid. I'm not a huge fan of Kool-Aid, but Nate Wiggins might be there. You got Newton, you got Mitchell, Jackson Powers Johnson. Like there's guys you can probably get, as long as you don't go past 42, 43, they should be able to get something back. And then maybe I'm looking for them to add for picks for next year. I think next year's draft will be so much deeper, so much better, because these guys that are making the NIL money this year, they'll be coming out next year and they're going to be a little more polished. You know what I mean? I'm not opposed to them trading back out of this position. I don't like any of these guys here to, be on first round money as well too. Cooper DeJean, he's a good fit. Newton, he's got some injury concerns. Nate Wiggins, he's a little light, like for weight. Xavier Legette, he's got hand problems, but he's a South Carolina guy. You've had success with that. McConkley, that doesn't do it for me. None of these guys are just like, wow, we have to have him at 31. They're going to be huge difference makers for this team. Like, if they're going to do something, you should have just traded Ayuk and got something middle of the first round and made something happen. But you're content with what your roster is. And I don't think a first round pick's going to start on this team this year anyway. So it is what it is.
Antonio, YouTube channel member. Shout out to all our YouTube channel members. If you want to become one, it's less than $3 a month. Please do. It's a great way to support the channel. You get priority comment response, membership badges, custom emojis, all that good stuff. Antonio says, I'm shocked that the corner is still available. I like Kool-Aid the most. Steph, you said you liked Cooper DeJean. Was there a particular reason you liked DeJean over Kool-Aid? I don't hear you, Steph. Does anybody else hear Steph, or is that just me?
Sorry, I was muted for a second. I feel like with Brandon Staley, I feel like he will push for a guy like Cooper just because I think he has a lot of versatility in where he could play in the secondary. And also he has the return ability as well, which I think the 49ers have really been needing someone who can do that. And also, he has the confidence to say that he thinks he could beat Caitlin Clark or keep her from making a shot on him. That's the confidence I want in a corner. Delusional, so I think it'd be a good fit.
Delusional, I like that.
That takes some cojones to say that in this right now with how Caitlin Clark is like. Yeah.
There's a lot of people in the chat upset that the Chiefs got a wide receiver. Did we not think they were going wide receiver? Come on, let's be honest here. Of course they were going wide receiver. It doesn't matter. They didn't have any receivers last year and they still won the damn thing. The Chiefs are inevitable. That is what we learned last year. Coach Desi says BA gets to stay. I'm sure his mama is happy. Let me just throw this out. And if I'm crazy, you guys can tell me I'm crazy. Is it at all possible that the 49ers, let's say they get a receiver. Let's say they go Troy Franklin, for example, or Adonai Mitchell. If they get a receiver at 31, could they trade Ayuk for a first-round pick in 2025? Is anyone willing to come on that train with me, or is that totally crazy to everybody?
They would have to get like somewhere in the pick 33, 34, 35 range. Like it would have to be Washington probably giving up pick 34 and trading their first next year. At that point, like I think you consider it. I still would not be in favor of it. No shocker there, but in terms of fair compensation, you get in realm there.
Yeah, I mean it depends on it depends on the team that you're trading for a 2025 first round pick. Like if it's Jacksonville, yeah, you might be picking in the middle of the first round. I don't believe in Jacksonville. I don't believe in Trevor Lawrence. If it's I don't know, if it's Carolina wants to give you a first round pick, yeah, you're probably picking the top 10 again. Then you take that. But if it's the Cowboys or if it's I don't know, just some team that's going to be decent, you may not want to take that pick. You might just get, you're going to get a late round first rounder for Ayuk when you could have got something now. I'd rather take the guy now, get value for Ayuk. Like I said, let's say Washington comes up and says 36. You take that. You say 36 and maybe this year's fourth round pick. You do that all day, right? You can save some money. You might get a receiver that could have a higher ceiling than Ayuk. I think Ayuk is pretty close to his ceiling at this point. I mean, there's not much more I don't think he's going to get better at. Like he's not Debo. He's not the Ayuk. He's not the Debo running for the catch guy who's going to break a whole bunch of tackles and run away from people. But he has this camaraderie with Brock where, do you want to take Brock's best receiver away from him? That's the battle that Kyle and John are dealing with right now with Ayuk and Brock and how you want to pay these guys. And are you going to transition this offense? I've been saying this for months. I mean, I'm not that active on Twitter anymore, but I really think the Niners want to transition away from this gimmicky Debo sweeps, Debo run game. Kyle wants to throw the ball. Like we've seen it. And we know that Purdy can at least push the ball down the field, better than his counterpart, Jimmy Garoppolo, who was the, check down merchant. Brock's not that. He's probably looking to go downfield. So if you can get Ayuk to run those deep crossers and you got a guy that can clear out a whole bunch of space and you're going to have your offense is more wide open that way. And you still got C-Mac and maybe get another running back in this draft. I think the Niners are going to be transitioning on both sides of the ball. This defensive scheme is going to change. I don't think they're going to stick with Hufanga. I think they're going to start doing a lot of the stuff the Rams did with Jalen Ramsey as a star defensive back. I'm not saying you're going to get a Jalen Ramsey guy, but you're going to change defensively. You're going to change offensively. This team has to go into its third iteration, right? You had the rebuild portion. You had your little title runs, really good football team. And now you got to reset that roster, and they're going to have to reset the entire philosophy because, to be honest, teams are catching up. Like, everyone's running this offense. Most people are running the same defense. You got to adjust or you're going to fail.
Evolve or die. You heard the little chime earlier. The Cowboys pick is in. Another tackle is off the board. Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma is now gone. The Ravens are on the clock. The Niners are on deck.
Apparently, the 49ers are on the clock right now, is what I saw. And
the
Ravens already made their pick.
Interesting.
Oh. Yeah, they're on the clock.
Oh, okay.
With Guyton going, though.
Can I say who the Ravens got?
Yes.
It just came through.
That's
Nate Wiggins, who I think is someone the 49ers would have been interested in. But Cooper's still there, guys. I mean,
get our own Cooper on the other side. Cooper versus Cooper.
Let me just say, would it not shock anyone if we have the white running back and the white cornerback? I mean, doesn't that seem to fit with the Niners roster right now? So Nate Wiggins goes to the Ravens. Oh, that was someone that I was hoping the 49ers would get. Kool-Aid McKinstry, still there. Jackson Powers-Johnson, still there. If you wanted to go center, which maybe is a little early, Adonai Mitchell, if you want to go there, he's still on the board. Everyone's favorite in San Francisco, Roger Rosengarten, is still there on the board.
Say tackle, that's all that's left now with Guyton gone is Rosengarten. It's the only possibility. So it's probably corner or wide receiver, I would guess.
And what do you guys think about Johnny Newton?
Yes. Oh, I forgot about Johnny Newton. That's my bad.
So I wouldn't mind
that. It would spell probably, Hargrave is not going to be around, most likely, after this season. They have it out. If they go defensive tackle, I would say that's tipping their hand.
I have to put these graphics on the screen, damn it, because I made so many, and I want to use them. So there's Johnny Newton.
Use them.
The stream. hasn't missed a game over the last 4 years, 22.5 tackles for loss in the last 2 years, and 103 pressures. As a D tackle, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
He's a little undersized, obviously, but I wouldn't mind it at all. I know some 49er fans would go crazy if they picked a defensive lineman, Steph, in the first round again, but I'd be fine with it.
I would be too. Let's see. Okay.
I must be delayed because I'm streaming this, the draft, so I think I'm behind everybody. So if you see it, obviously,
I was gonna say, Steph, what are you watching on?
Yeah,
I'm checking right now.
I'm checking Twitter. Twitter's the fastest thing
okay.
you're gonna get.
Yeah.
But I will say it when I see it, if you guys don't mind.
a lot of the 49ers beat writers keep talking about the corners that are still there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Which is funny.
I don't think you can take
Kool-Aid.
Kool-Aid. You
Receivers.
can't take Kool-Aid here. You can't take. I mean, the only guy that's worth taking here is DeJean, right, or Newton. Those are the only two guys that I think you take. And I'm not in on Mitchell. I live in Texas. These UT wide receivers are overhyped. They're overrated. Both of them. I'm sorry. It is what it is. They're just they're not these. They're not your typical Kyle Shanahan wide receiver. These guys don't like to block. They don't get physical. You can jam them pretty easily. You saw the Alabama game before they decided to wake up later on in that game. They're not who people think they are. I'm not in on either one of those guys. I wasn't in on Roma Dunzier. I'm all in on the later wide receivers. Like I'm in on Leggett. I'm in on Corley. I'm in on the kid from Arizona. I'm in on Javon Baker all day long. Those are the guys that fit the 49ers culture and their offense. These two first-round Texas guys, to me, they don't make much sense. Kool-Aid doesn't make a lot of sense either here. It's either Cooper DeJean or you trade out, or you go Newton, or you take the best available defensive player, or even if you want to get a center, go ahead and get Jackson Powers Johnson. Like, go ahead and do that because we all know that Brendo's not long for this team. I mean, I wouldn't keep him around that for that much longer. I've been saying for years, can we get a quarterback and center combination that will grow together? Brock Purdy's in year 3. Get yourself a younger center and let them develop together. That's what I would love for them to do.
Toby Flamin watching on YouTube says, Levin is such a buzzkill. You're right, Toby, the human wet blanket. We call him that for a reason. Just because they get Newton doesn't mean Hargrave won't be around. Way too much of a projection.
You're welcome, Toby.
Levin Black, ruining everybody's draft night. You love to see it, or you hate to see it.
You're the one that invited me.
Benjamin Bear says, Javi's right. UT wide receivers are totally overrated.
I mean, you can talk about any UT prospect of like the last 20 years. They're pretty overrated.
Hey, Byron Murphy, though, going to the Seahawks.
I know.
Rob and I kind of touched a little bit on it before we came live. Like the divisional teams for the 49ers, I'm not a big fan of how they drafted because I think they all made some pretty good picks.
It's weird. Like all these offensive players went early. And so all the like playoff teams or fringe playoff teams got all the best defensive players. It's really like the way it shaked out is so bizarre. I don't remember. We've never seen a draft like this where it was so dominated by offense. The Niners have 4 minutes left as we are on the clock here. I'm
the Penix thing.
I'm guessing they're talking trade.
Yeah, and the Penix thing jacked everything up. No one expected that.
Yeah.
Penix, like, wait, whoa. Yeah, that's really gross. I love Penix. I'm a Penix guy since Indiana, but it's like
it makes no sense.
Like financially, it doesn't make a lot of sense. And then
you just signed Kirk to 4 years. If it was 2 years, you could make sense of it.
Yeah, the Kirk Cousins thing. Apparently, the money's only guaranteed for 2.
Yeah.
So at the end of the 2, but then Penix will be 27.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about here?
He's going to be as old as Brock Purdy next month.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's pretty nuts. I mean, this draft was pretty chalk. The JJ McCarthy hype was kind of weird all the way through. To me, he's like Jimmy Garoppolo all over again. That's just kind of what he feels like to me. I'm kind of glad the Raiders didn't do anything crazy. They were smart to take Bowers. Philly did a good job this draft, as always, like they always do. I mean, it's just, I don't know. It's just this doesn't feel right at 31. I don't like it.
Nothing exciting has happened to the 49ers since overtime started.
Why do you have to bring that up again, man? Jeez.
We were ready to turn a new leaf. We were feeling
optimistic. The pick is in. The pick is in. The pick is in. I know it just got. Mike Silver just tweeted it.
I have not seen anything.
Just tweeted it.
Oh, he tweeted the pick.
Cooper DeJean, Mike Silver says. The pick is in, according to Mike Silver. The Niners go with Steph's choice, Cooper DeJean. I don't know if it's Cooper DeJean or DeJean. I got to learn that. Steph?
Yeah, that's what I was curious about. DeJean or Jean?
What do you think?
DeJean. I like it. Again, I feel like this is a Brandon Staley influenced pick. And if
Wait. Sorry, Steph. Silver just tweeted a second ago. That was premature. Sorry.
Oh,
boy.
no.
Oh,
is
man.
it not Cooper?
I don't know. I
Gil is going to be pissed if it's not Cooper now.
Steph. Oh, man.
Okay, someone else just said it, but I don't know if they're just like.
If it is Cooper, I say goodbye to Hufanga as soon as possible. I'm sorry, guys. I have not been a Hufanga fan since he got drafted.
Well, you still keep him around this year, but you don't give him.
You keep him around this year, yeah. But I don't. I'm
Yeah.
cool.
So then you see Cooper being more of a safety guy for the Niners?
Yeah, he's a safety. He's too stiff to play corner. He's not a corner. He's a safety. For Christ's sake, he played at Iowa. Like he's not a fluid guy. He's gonna play safety. Is what it is. Like you're gonna run with Brown and Cooper. Those are your two safeties. And then you got to figure out what you're going to do with Hufanga. I don't think Hufanga is long for this team. I wouldn't pay him a long extension contract. I wouldn't do any of that like with Hufanga. You have a guy who's already slow with an ACL injury.
Yeah.
And coverage issues. I'm good.
I think that's the majority opinion in this room. I don't know
But
where
now
falls on that, but Rob and I are both that way too.
Mike Silver says the pick is Ricky Pearsall, the wide receiver.
What?
Interesting.
Wait.
I wonder why did he tweet that out then?
Hold on. Now the Draft Network is saying Cooper DeJean. What is happening? What is happening?
Dude,
Who is
there it is.
now?
Ari tweeted too. Ricky Pearsall, 49ers pick 31.
It is Ricky Pearsall.
Where did Cooper come from then?
Yes.
What the heck? They could have just traded back at that point.
Yeah, what are we doing? You could have just
Oh my God.
This is crazy.
Dude,
Yeah.
I wanted Cooper, man. That's like it doesn't surprise me that they're going wide receiver. I actually thought McConkey would be higher up on their board. They're pretty similar. I don't just say that because they're white, but I think the consensus too was that like McConkey would go higher than Pearsall, but
It is hilarious.
Wow.
We've got half the people on Twitter, like Benjamin Solak is tweeting out Cooper DeJean analysis. Some people are talking about Pearsall. Like, do I just have to like go to the freaking commissioner real quick and like see what the hell he's gonna say? But I'm surprised.
If you took Pearsall, that means Debo's gone.
Well, Debo's gone.
he's gone. He's gone anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we had the tweet from Diana Rossini hours ago now that said they were talking about trading Ayuk and Debo.
Yeah.
Like, let's not forget about that.
Well,
Even
one or the other. Teams that called about Ayuk, if they didn't find an agreeable, they said, well, what about Debo?
yeah, sure they did. The 49ers never offered it up on Debo. Like,
And then Mike Silver says that Debo's bosses said he wouldn't be traded. That means they were discussing you in a trade.
right.
Like,
Yeah.
we've been trying to trade you since we signed you. Like, can the Niners just fall in love with a player and just keep him? Like, can we just do that? Like, just fall in love with the guy before you sign him? Because they did this every time they signed somebody. They're like, oh, well, just go seek a trade and see what we can get. Either you like the guy or
They'll
you
just
don't.
announced it as Pearsall. So
Here we go.
Pearsall. 175 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. That's what we want out of our wide receivers, right?
I mean, he's nice. Like I like him as a prospect. I just at 31 is earlier than I expected. But at the same time, it's the Niners, and they don't care about what other.
Steph, Pearsall's supposed to go in the 60s to
No, that's
85 range.
saying.
What the?
No, I don't think so. I think he would have gone in the second. But that being said, like, yeah, the point still stands.
I'd seen him projected as high as in the low 40s. So he was kind of one of those guys that some people had him in the top half of the second and some people had him in the third.
I had him in the third.
I wonder how Ayuk feels about it because they were teammates.
Well, he's probably hype.
Yep.
But that to
He
me,
got his pay, and they drafted a former teammate.
To me, it just feels like this is a Debo replacement. That's what this is.
But like you
100%, which makes me happy. So
Yeah,
You don't
it's an overdraft. You overdrafted this kid.
Well, yeah.
Why did
It's an
Silver
overdraft.
think it was Cooper? Is my question.
I don't know.
Was there
You got the wrong white
someone
boy.
who wanted Cooper or thought it was gonna be? Is this another Trey Lance situation where at the 11th hour they like changed their mind? I mean,
I do
Golly.
wonder if. Okay, so I'm seeing Carolina just traded up. I wonder if Carolina's taking Cooper, and Silver's source thought saw Cooper's being picked and thought, oh, that's the Niners. So we'll see here. If
Jesus.
this is Cooper, that would be my guess.
Speaking of Mike Silver, he says, so given the 49ers took a receiver, trading Brandon Ayuk or possibly Deebo Samuel is very much in play as we head to tomorrow. Just when you thought the drama
even worse.
was over.
That's even worse. That's even worse. Deebo, I can see, but
There's
Ayuk,
only one trade
they
for
do.
Ayuk.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Washington has 2 very early second-round picks. If they trade both, you might pull the trigger on that. That's the only way I can see it. But I don't see you trading Ayuk and going, yeah, we're going to run with Pearsall and Deebo, 2 guys that do the same thing.
So Buffalo traded down again. Buffalo traded down for the Chiefs, and then they traded down to Carolina.
They only traded down to 33.
Yeah,
and they moved from the 6th to the 5th for the compensation. So
the says we'll trade Ayuk for a long snapper. Let's get into Pearsall for people that don't know about him, because of course I made 20 graphics. I didn't make one for Ricky Pearsall. And of course, that's who they picked. But I'm just going to go to the Dane Brugler draft guide because again, I'm not an expert, but I just want to read some of the things that are in there for people. So he's 6 feet, 189 pounds. He ran a 4.41. For the strengths, it says exceptional focus and tracking, naturally contorts his body midair to make difficult grabs. If you go to YouTube and Google Ricky Pearsall catch, you'll see a catch he made last year, I believe, which was ridiculous. It was like a one-handed backhand where he gets hit by a defender and holds onto the ball. It was absolutely fantastic. Creates pockets of separation, so I guess it's not a Deebo clone, and has quick stem cuts. His long speed won't lag out of breaks. There's a bunch of other stuff there. Some of the weaknesses, thin body frame with ordinary length and limited growth potential. Don't like that. Can get bullied off balance at the top of his route and might struggle to escape NFL press coverage. Overall, Pearsall wasn't a home run hitter on tape, but he's a reliable receiving option with the route quickness and ball skills to quickly become a favorite target for an NFL quarterback. He has the skill set and toughness to work inside or outside and return punts at the next level. Brugler had him as a 2nd or 3rd round pick, and instead he goes 31, Javi.
I mean, this sounds like this is Kyle's Wes Welker. That's what it sounds like to me. That's
Which
what
he's
this
been
looks
trying
like.
to find for
Since
quite
Trent
some time.
Taylor was
First it
here.
was Trent Taylor.
Taylor's back.
He's just so like fascinated, or what's the word I'm trying to find? Like he just falls in love
white
with
guy
that.
wide receivers can make it in the league. I just got unlucky. That's what Kyle's saying.
Like it feels like, okay, cool, Kyle. Do you want an explosive offense, or do you want to continue this 8, 9, 10, 11 play drive offense? Is that what you want to do? Or do you want to be explosive like you were in Atlanta? If you want to be explosive like you were in Atlanta, then you go ahead and then you go take one of these other receivers later on. Like Xavier Legette would have been a much better option. But Pearsall has got good hands. He's a solid receiver in that sense. But you're just doing more of the same. You're just kind of like you're trying to retread the Deebo thing. Okay, cool. This kid can run out of the backfield. He's a slot guy. He's over the middle, yards after catch type of guy. But you need some explosive plays. I mean, that's what costs you playoff games. That's what costs you the Super Bowl. You need to be able to go up and down the field quickly. And that's the shit that pisses me off.
But they were explosive last year, Javi. This was one of the most explosive offenses in the league last year. I
will say this, explosive with yards after the catch. They weren't like, don't get me wrong. There was the Ayuk play against Tampa, the Deebo play against Seattle. That's fine. But the frequency of those plays was very small. What I'm saying is, yeah, you can get those explosive deep crosses to Ayuk. You're going to get 25, 30 yards off those. I'm talking about a 9 route. Go ahead and go get it over the top. Just force teams to play off of you. Teams don't play off this team. This is a disappointing pick. This is a disappointing pick for a team who is trying to win a Super Bowl. If that's your choice, you could have waited for this receiver. You could have went offensive line here. You could have just traded back. You could have went with Cooper. I would have been happier with Cooper.
I think the feeling from a lot of fans is going to be, if you like this guy, fine. You could have got him later.
And Xavier just went 32.
Xavier
The better
Legette.
receiver.
Yeah.
Oh, I like the Legette too. So this is my problem with the 49ers reaching for guys is that then the perception of this player by fans right off the bat is on the wrong foot. You know what I mean? Like that's the only thing that people are going to think of when they think about this pick is where he was picked. Same thing with Jake Moody, right? And they're going to hold it against that player. So even if he turns out to be, a serviceable wide receiver, you're always going to look to where he got picked, and it's too early. It's too early for what he is. So yeah, I'm not. We'll see. I mean, like I said, like he has traits, but like at this point, I don't know. I'm not in love with where it happened.
Bucky Brooks, for what it's worth, says, love the Ricky Pearsall pick. Excellent route runner and playmaker. Let's assume that Kyle doesn't put him in the doghouse immediately after one practice. And maybe that's not a safe assumption. But, let's just run with me here. You're going into an offense where you should be able to thrive, and you should be able to thrive immediately. For all the talk where it was, hey, Trey Lance is in a great system in 2021. Look at all these playmakers around him. I mean, like Ricky Pearsall is going to get schemed wide ass open by Kyle Shanahan. He should be able to contribute early. I would hope, unless he's, AJ Jenkins, which I'm old enough to remember, but damn, don't we have any faith in Kyle Levin at all? Are you listening to me?
I totally am cutting out. I had an ad pop up on my ESPN stream, decided to pop up an ad. So I totally missed what you said.
Do we trust Kyle?
And then there was a silence, and I went, of course. He called on me, right? I feel like a kid back in high school. Sleep in school.
That is the last time that I call on you for anything. Jordan Matthews says, I'm so tired of this regime. I'm done. For King Crazy says, are we drunk? But he typed A.
Lynch isn't tweeting, is he? So we can confirm that's not true.
I mean,
let me just run through these super chats.
Yeah.
Scott 49 says, I'll wait for the 5th round pick. We know they're going to be good. He actually said it twice, so we appreciate both donations, Scott. Okay, Javi, sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, do we trust Kyle? Yeah. I mean, at this point, you have to trust Kyle as far as an offensive coordinator and getting guys wide open. But that's not the point, man. Like, you have a need here. Like, how much longer is Trent Williams going to be around? Do you trust Colton McKivitz long term? Do they? I know they feel confident that yes, this offensive line got you to a Super Bowl, but your right guard decided to be instinctual and not block Chris Jones, right? You gotta make some corrections there. As far as defensively, we've already talked about Hufanga. You have 2 cornerbacks who are potentially free agents at the end of next year. You don't know what you're going to be doing with your wide receivers. How much longer is Christian McCaffrey going to? Like, you have to get something that's going to make an impact now, and they could have been better off. Let's trade up and go get Robinson. Trade up and go get the tackle. It just doesn't. This doesn't make much sense to me. Do I think Kyle can get this guy wide open? Yeah, absolutely. Kyle gets everybody wide ass open. Like Dante Pettis looked really good for a short period of time in 2018. You know what I mean? With Nick Mullins throwing him the ball. So Kyle can do that. I'm not worried about that. I'm just worried about the impact of the player immediately. Like if he's in the doghouse, what the hell was the point of picking this kid at 31, right? When you could have said, hey, look, we got Cooper DeJean at 31, and he's going to play the star position for us and help kind of alleviate Hufanga's transition out of his ACL so that we get a little better coverage skills back there. And we run a little bit something a little bit better defensively. It doesn't make sense to me when you could have did this pick at 40, 45, 46, wherever the heck you wanted to be at. But it doesn't sit right with me with where they are as a franchise. To me, it feels panicked. To me, it feels like nobody wanted to trade with you. To me, it feels like they were just like, oh, we have these 3 guys, and we're just going to throw a dart at one of the 3, and they end up landing on that when they probably could have went with Cooper. That just it doesn't feel right. If he ends up being Wes Welker, then awesome. But it doesn't sit right now.
Moonman Ed says, who's getting traded? We can talk about that in a second. We got a little breaking news. According to KJ Carter, Ricky Pearsall is already in the doghouse. Not off to a good start in San Francisco. Warlock, thank you for the super chat. Says, stop saying the 49ers deserve a number one for Ayuk. Stop comparing BA to AJ. Two different teams with two different mentalities. Why would a team give a number one knowing they still have to pay BA $25 million? Your logic is insane. No, Warlock, my logic is completely rational. AJ Brown went for a first and a third 2 years ago. Look at the numbers from AJ Brown in Tennessee to Brandon Ayuk in San Francisco. They're basically the same. I know AJ Brown has been good since the trade, but at the time of the trade, the numbers are basically the same, and they traded for A.J. Brown, and they paid A.J. Brown. So that's where this argument comes from. It just happened. It just happened. What's up, Javi?
If you're an NFL GM, you yourself, Rob, who are you taking, A.J. or Brandon Ayuk?
Who am I taking?
Yes.
I would take A.J. Brown. I think A.J. Brown is better than Brandon Ayuk.
Brandon Ayuk does not warrant a first-round pick in any trade. I'm sorry.
Hollywood Brown went for a first-round pick.
I get that, but that's also ridiculous that he went for a first-round pick. Brandon Ayuk should not go for a first-round pick. Neither should Hollywood Brown. AJ Brown, absolutely.
That's
Those
not
two,
the point.
No.
That's not the point, though, because I think the 49ers should still want a first-round pick.
Oh, yeah, they can want whatever they want.
If you want to say he goes for less than AJ Brown, I can get on board with you.
Yeah,
I'm not first and fourth, first and fifth, but a first is still that's the beginning of the conversation.
I don't know. I'm not there on Ayuk. Like Hollywood Brown, that's an overpay. That was just an extreme overpay. That was ridiculous. What that was. But AJ Brown absolutely deserved to get traded for a first round pick. Brandon Ayuk was a late first rounder, and to get an early first rounder for him 4 years later seems like an overpay for any team to go do that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's kind of where I'm at with it. But AJ Brown has been dominant. When's the last time Ayuk took over a game?
When's the last time A.J. Brown took over a game with Tennessee? He's done it with the Eagles, but I think people are thinking of A.J. Brown now and not A.J. Brown with Tennessee.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but A.J. Brown with Tennessee had Ryan Tannehill and a pretty bad offense, and he goes to Philadelphia, he starts dominating. Like, your surroundings matter. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Ayuk. I think I wanted Ayuk when they drafted him. I wanted him in that first round. I thought he was a first-round pick. I had Jefferson, Ayuk, CD. That was my order. I didn't like Ruggs and Judy. I didn't like those two. I liked those three, and that's how I had it ranked. But 5 years later, I wouldn't trade a first-round pick for a guy I got to pay $25 million. No, I wouldn't do that.
Well, that's a different
I get why they didn't get it. Yeah, like that's also part of the conversation. Like if you said Washington said, "Hey, Adam Peters goes, John, I'll give you picks 36 and 40 for Brandon Ayuk," you got to take that. You have to take that. You take it all day.
4King Crazy says, I guess BA and Debo are staying. We'll see. I want to get a little more to Pearsall here. He said, I'm one of the best wide receivers in the draft. I'm an elite route runner. I know how to set defenders up with my routes. I really understand the art of route running. He told that to the Draft Network. I want to say this too. Like, I feel like you're being a little harsh, Javi. Like the draft is not over. Round 1 is over. But the draft is not over. We don't have the full picture yet to see what the 49ers do. If they get 2 offensive linemen tomorrow, are you going to be that mad?
No, I'm not. I don't like wasting first-round picks. Like we've done this too many times as the Niners with this regime. Solomon Thomas, Reuben Foster, Javon Kinlaw, Mike McGlinchey. Like you've hit on one.
Yeah, like
two.
Do you want the?
It's just too many dart. Like I'm Steph. Too many dart throws. We're just throwing darts now. Yeah. You hit on Bosa. You hit on Ayuk. Other than that, you haven't done anything in the first round. I get it. You're drafting later because you've been good, but in the early parts of the first round, you're missing. And this feels like a big, big reach. If you get a good player later on in the draft, absolutely, the Niners have done that the last couple of years. They always rely on their scouts for the later picks. Rely on your scouts for the first rounders. What are we doing? This feels like a Kyle pick. Kyle's like, oh, I like that guy because he runs really good routes, but nothing else.
Can I give you a preview of how the Niners will frame it? We don't think he would be there for our second round pick, so why wouldn't we go get him when we could? Because that's what they say every time they overdraft somebody. Well, he wouldn't have been there 30 picks later, so we had to get him now.
So trade back.
Exactly. But that's what they always say. They've said that almost word for word like 3 or 4 different times. Well, we didn't think you'd be there for our next pick and 30 picks, so we had to take him now. Okay, well, there's other options there.
Steph, I know you got to bounce, but really quickly, I just want to get your reaction to this. Mike Silver, based on my conversations with other teams, the Niners are now more likely to deal Deebo Samuel than they are Brandon Ayuk. Stay tuned. Keep in mind, this is the same guy that like 2 days ago had an article that said Deebo Samuel has been assured by his bosses that he's not going to be traded.
He also just said Cooper was going to the Niners, man. Come on. No, but in all seriousness, I think this does make sense, right? I mean, Javi said it. I think it's closer to a 1-to-1 match between Deebo and Pearsall than Ayuk. I think Pearsall also probably figures to be wide receiver 2, in the NFL, and I don't see him being much more than that, right? And then also Deebo is more likely to get you a mid-round pick. I'm talking like day 2, maybe even early day 3. That Pretty Ricky dude, he said the best offer that the 49ers had gotten for Deebo was a 4th-round pick, and that was like a couple of days ago. I'm just
that
saying,
guy for sure works in the NFL front office.
Oh yeah, he's I don't know what he does, but
because he tweets out the picks before anybody else. It's like the only way you get every single team's picks that quickly is if you're sitting somewhere and work a job where you see the picks as they come in to the NFL.
Which is probably why his accounts get shut down like every other week. But
yeah.
But yeah, those are my thoughts. I guess it wouldn't surprise me if Deebo is traded on day 2. But at the same time, I don't know what teams see a lot of value in Deebo. A little bit older now. In
the contract.
What if Deebo was a Peters guy?
Yeah. If he was what?
A Peters guy. Like Peters was the one that really wanted him in the draft. You can see Peters.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be a bad match.
But I mean, at this point, I don't want to see either one of them traded this season. I want to see Deebo move next season. That's when I would like to see Deebo. I want to go all in this year, which is why it didn't matter who they picked at 31. I was going to be happy tonight because Ayuk wasn't traded.
Yeah.
As far as we know. Stay tuned. Steph, if you have to bounce, feel free.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hopping. Like and subscribe to the 49 Carats YouTube channel. Thank you, Steph.
Nice talking to you, Steph.
See you guys.
Good to see you, Steph.
You too, man.
So let me throw this out there. They're 2 years apart, but Ricky Pearsall and Brock Purdy grew up 15 miles from each other.
Oh God, I don't.
So if you want to know that he's if he's in the Cabo clique, my point is Ricky's already in the Cabo clique.
What's up?
So Deebo on Instagram just shared the 49ers rumor about trading Deebo Samuel on his Instagram story.
And what did he say?
He just shared the picture of the rumor. So I mean, I'm pretty sure he's been talked to about, hey, look, we're shopping you.
I can't stand Deebo's he rubs me the wrong way. He rubbed me the wrong way that offseason when he was going for the contract. Like, I get playing the contract games, but I feel like he was messing with the fans. That's when I have a problem with it. When you purposely mess with the fans and you're not like doing stuff to affect the team, you're doing stuff to also get the fans to react. That's the part that rubbed me the wrong way. But then all of the JT O'Sullivan videos showing him half-assing about a third of all plays, that bothers me. And to me, that it's a strong, bad message to have sent saying, yeah, this guy can take plays off, but we're going to still build the offense around him. When you put the other guy in the doghouse, like, I feel like that's hypocritical of Kyle. So the sooner he's gone, I'm not going to miss him, put it that way.
Yeah.
The other thing, guess where Ricky Pearsall was before he was at Florida?
Arizona State with Ayuk.
And with Herm Edwards. The 49ers love Herm Edwards. They have a super close relationship with Herm Edwards. I'm sure they got plenty of Ricky Pearsall intel on Herm Edwards. And again, look, I don't know if Ricky Pearsall is good. I'm not saying he's going to be bad. I have no idea. He appears to have been mocked much lower than where the 49ers took him. That doesn't mean a damn thing. At the end of the day, that means nothing. We're talking about a team that is literally quarterbacked by the last pick in the draft. I have no idea if he's going to be good. I have no idea if he's going to be bad. The general reaction from fans seems to be that the Niners reached. Honestly, I haven't seen that from media too much as I've been trying to scan Twitter, Levin. I feel like fans are pissed, but I haven't seen a lot of analysts say that the Niners made a bad pick.
It all depends on their intel. I mean, it's hard to get intel on other teams, but what if they knew that there was another team picking in the top, 35 to 40 picks that would definitely take Pearsall if he was there, and they didn't feel confident they could trade into those spots and necessarily get them. What if they know, hey, that's a guy that Peters brought up 2 years ago that he loved. You know what I mean? They might know that Washington would be all over him at 36 because they know Peters was talking about him 2 years ago. It's not like scouts don't bring up guys that are a year or two away from coming out.
Yeah,
especially somebody that spent 5 years in college like Pearsall. He could have come out last year. He didn't have a good enough track record at that point to have flirted with it, but it's a guy that they would have already scouted to some degree. So maybe they knew Peters is high on him. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, like just sitting here thinking about it, like I watched Pearsall most of last year. I think he's a great fit for the Niners. Like he fits their offense. He fits everything that they want to do. It's just the pick at 31 feels like a reach. But I'm with Levin here. Like, what if he was going to go at 36? What if they had intel? Like they knew about Ayuk trying to go to the Miami. They had to jump in front of Miami to get Ayuk, right? Okay, I get it. But it just feels like a reach. I think he's a good player. I've always thought he's a good player. I just don't know, what if how does this guy make you better, especially if you're considering trading Deebo Samuel, right? If Mike Silver, who's people might like all his reporting, but he's been pretty spot on this entire offseason, the last 2 seasons with the Trey Lance stuff. Like he's been very well connected. And I mean, at the end of the day, like whether you like it or not, this guy's been connected to Kyle Shanahan and Mike Shanahan for decades. He knows what's going on with the Shanahan family. So, I mean, he may have some really strong intel on, hey, what if Carolina wants Deebo Samuel, right? Or Buffalo wants Deebo Samuel.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina and Buffalo just traded. What if they say, you know what, we'll give you 33 for Deebo? You jump on that. You take that all day. You take it.
Or what if the Bears want to go once again to wide receiver? I mean, 3's not enough.
I mean, shoot, you got.
I can't believe they went wide receiver.
Deebo and Rome, Jesus, yeah. But I mean, I'm not. It's not that I hate. I think the players. I think he's a good player. I think he fits. I just don't like the selection at 31 when you have other needs. And to me, the secondary was where they needed to go if they weren't going to go offensive tackle. You should have went with the safety. You should have went with maybe the corner. But I get it. The corner wasn't there, but Cooper would have been your best fit at safety.
They might have a trade already for Deebo that they knew was possible, where they said, if we get Pearsall, we're going to pull the trigger on this after the trade ends for tonight. You know what I mean? Who knows what they had? They might have had an offer. They're like, we really like that, but we can't pull the trigger without knowing one of the wide receivers we really like gets to 31. Who knows?
The other thing to think of too is maybe they trade Deebo for a player. Maybe there's another player that they can trade Deebo for instead of a draft pick. Maybe they go that route. That's allowed. Warlock says, Stats, aren't you the same guy who said maybe when asked if Deebo could be good with another team, yet you still say the 49ers deserve a 1 for him? Yeah.
Yeah, Stats. Huh?
I do. Because we don't know if he's going to be good with another team. Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But again, recent history shows A.J. Brown went for a 1st and a 3rd. Even if you don't want to attach the 3rd round pick to the deal, I still think Ayuk deserves to get traded for a 1st, especially coming off the historic season he had last year, where he had over 1,300 yards on, 75 catches? Mm-hmm. Give me a break.
And then, the other thing on this Ricky Pearsall pick, are we going to go to less 2 back, less 2 tight end? Are we going to go more 3 wide receiver? Are we going to go Deebo, Ayuk, Pearsall?
Yeah.
What happens to Jennings in this situation? Like, what are we doing here? Like, that's at the end of the day, you run. If this Pearsall kid's going to get on the field, he's a 1st-round pick. You're going to have to play him. You got to play this kid. The Niners had to play Ayuk during the COVID year out of necessity, but even in 2021, they still put Ayuk on. Ayuk was on the field. He just wasn't getting targeted, right? So what do you do with Jennings here? Like Jennings hasn't signed his tender, if I'm not mistaken, right?
I think he did sign it.
Who cares? Shawan Jennings had 19 catches last year.
I'm just saying.
True.
I mean, I love it, right? But damn.
I mean, we all said that the Niners are maybe the hardest system for a rookie wide receiver because of the blocking that it is entailed. So it could be as simple as they want a Deebo replacement and they wanted to get him a year early before they actually plan to move on from Deebo because they don't want to have to rely on a rookie wide receiver as a Super Bowl contender. That could be their thinking here is that, hey, we're going to get a guy that opens the door to running 3 wide receiver sets for this next year. But really, we're looking at the year after when Deebo has an insane, like $29 million cap hit that we're not going to pay.
Tim Kawakami just tweeted that said, KMBR, Shanahan's talking about all the things Pearsall does when he doesn't have the ball, how physical he is, how he blocks. We are going to hear from the 49ers tonight. There is going to be a press conference. Kyle will probably do it after he gets off the KMBR interview. So we should see some comments from Shanahan and Lynch. I guarantee you they're going to say they got their guy. This is the guy we wanted all along. They're not going to talk about the trade because they absolutely, I mean, first question should be, what were the trade offers for Brandon Ayuk? Did you try to trade Ayuk? Did you try to trade Deebo Samuel? Because Pearsall is the secondary story. The bigger story is, are you, were you shopping your two biggest your two biggest wide receivers? And if they don't get asked about that, I'm going to run to California and ask them myself.
They're not going to get asked about that. Come on now.
They should. That should be the first question. Diana,
you know the drill.
They bet. I mean, look, Lynch tried to come out on Monday and say, "Oh, I'm not taking any Brandon Ayuk questions," and the first 4 or 5 questions were about Brandon Ayuk. So that was an awesome job. So maybe things are turning a corner with the 49ers.
You saw how the press conferences work. You saw that at the Super Bowl. If they get somebody that's actually asking about the trades, they're going to go to somebody that they know will give them the softball that they're looking for. Because you don't just get it's not a normal press conference where you just start talking and you got to be the one that doesn't shut up to get your question answered. It is, you got to be pointed at first. You got to be chosen by the 49ers PR staff to be able to ask a question.
Matt Barrows, since the NFL expanded to 32 teams in 2002, the Niners have used a first-round pick in the 30s 4 times. 2004, Rashawn Woods, wide receiver. 2012, A.J. Jenkins, wide receiver. 2014 was Jimmy Ward, hooray. 2017, Reuben Foster. Ugh.
Well, I mean, there was a comment in here said that somebody said it in here. Kyle's trying to find his Cooper Kupp. I mean, I can see it. I just don't know that this kid is that. But I like this comment from the super chat you have there.
Black Pill Phil, excuse me. Thank you. Says Pearsall had a 6.643 cone, second fastest overall and fastest among wide receivers.
Cone is really good for a slot receiver where you're doing a whole bunch of quick movements and having to cut a bunch.
And
Kyle's been looking for that. And
that plays into Brock's strength, right? Slot guy that can get open quickly, give him an option right away. For King Crazy wants to know, was this guy a gold helmet? I'm sure the Niners will say. Mr. Rudy Poo says BA's on Instagram Live with Jaden Daniels right now. Maybe he is. I have no idea.
Man, those two must be close because that's the second time this week they've been photographed together.
Yeah.
Well, they played together at Arizona State.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, he was that play where Ayuk smokes Diameter Lenore on the touchdown. I was watching that game. I remember that game. But yeah, no, honestly, I get it. The first round is kind of upsetting people. I'm not super upset. I'm just more disappointed with the route they went. But I'm with Rob on what he said earlier. If the Niners end up with a guard or a tackle that makes a bunch of sense, then okay, cool. We're fine.
If they trade up and get like Rosengarten.
If you're going to get Rosengarten, then go. Yeah, then you can.
Or
you have
Powers Johnson's out there. I would love to trade up and get him.
I'm with you, Levin. That's the way to go. You have to solidify this interior offensive line, and you got to find a safety at some point. If they go out, if they take Bullard at 63, I'm content. The rest of the draft, I could give 2 craps less. I'm cool. I'm good.
That's why I say, we have to wait. We have to wait and see the rest of the picture. Here's the thing. If they picked an offensive lineman, maybe not Rosengarten, I don't know. But if they picked an offensive lineman or a corner, any corner, right? Whether it was Kool-Aid, Cooper DeJean, people would be like, great job, 49ers. Way to go. Because you drafted a position of need in the first round. But we don't know if that guy can play. We don't know.
That's fair. Yeah.
Maybe I'm on copium right now. I fully admit I could be smoking the hippie lettuce. But let's see here. I'm not going to crush them right away. I want to see the rest of the picture. Christopher Johnson says, I've been saying the Niners should give Ricky Pearsall a look. I just didn't expect him to go in the first round. Rob, you owe me a follow. You are a YouTube channel member, Christopher. If you are, I will give you a follow. Put your @ in the chat, and I will give you a follow. That is a promise I intend to keep. Julian Navarez says, next Julian Edelman coming from a Julian Navarez. I'd rather have Wes Welker than Julian Edelman, first of all. Wes Welker was a way better player than Julian Edelman. I'm just saying that.
Yes, Wes Welker was way better.
Some people are thinking I'm slurping Ricky Pearsall. I'm like, I just want to see. Moonman Ed said Bleacher Report gave the pick an A. Not that I care about draft grades at all. But
I don't care about Bleacher Report either, because like that could be Joe Schmo, or it could be actually somebody credible. Like there's a really big gap there for Bleacher Report because they allow anybody to be posting, so it could be anything.
I'm doing a Bleacher Report stream with Michelle tomorrow, so they only have.
Right. I said they have like actual professional, but then they also allow all these others that are. So it's hard to know just by saying it's a Bleacher Report.
Shawnee, I'm going to get to your super chat in a second, but Steven, this pertains to what we're talking about, says, yo, this was a shit pick and everyone knows it. Stop making excuses. If you wanted him, you could have had him in the third. Never heard of this dude before, and they prioritize him over offensive line. First of all, Steven, nobody knows if this was a shit pick. We don't know. We don't know now. All you know about Ricky Pearsall is that he was mocked lower than when the 49ers took him. You just said you never heard of him. So how can you tell me it's a shit pick? I get the anger. I get it. But, let's try and zoom out here.
Like I said, it didn't matter who they took there. I wasn't going to be upset because I was just happy Ayuk wasn't traded. And that was my goal going in. Like I literally went into a draft going, as long as they don't trade BA, I don't really care. Like I don't see them as having any massive, crazy, huge need that at 31 they were going to definitely be able to address and have like a for sure, all right, they fixed that position. There are positions I preferred over others. I would have preferred offensive line, but at 31, you're not getting somebody that you know for sure can go in there and actually be better than McKivitz day one if you're going tackle.
Yeah, you're right. You're right on that.
Shawnee Chipotle, YouTube channel member, says over or under 1.5 running backs in this draft. It better be under.
Under. They're going to take one. They're taking one.
Yeah.
Take one.
I don't even know if they take one. I wouldn't be surprised if they take one. But they hit on so many undrafted, and they know they don't need a top guy or even the second guy. So why waste a draft pick when you can go, you're undrafted, and if you don't find one in undrafted, you still have 3 guys that you can rely on.
Kyle and John are speaking right now. I'm not allowed to live stream it. Otherwise, I would. I would pipe it right in. But we expressly forbidden from live streaming the press conference. So I will try and keep track. If anybody sees any comments or anything like that that's interesting, let me know, because obviously I can't listen to it because we have to do that.
You can dual listen. I'm still listening to TV here.
Well, you're not listening to me, so yeah, I get it.
That was not my fault. That was, I pulled up Ricky Pearson's profile on ESPN, and they decided to have a video start, and I was clicking over to get the video to shut the heck up.
So, Javi, I was just going to say real quick, shout out to you, because Debo did apparently put the trade rumor on Instagram, and then he deleted it. So you caught it in the meantime. So shout out to you, Javi.
Listen, this team is a content machine.
Yes,
it never fails, man. We could have Steve Young at quarterback again. There's something around the team that's got to be out there. They're going to be.
Even when Steve Young was on the team, it was all about, he's not Joe Montana. Even after he won a Super Bowl, there was a honeymoon phase for a couple of years. But I remember at the end of Steve Young's career, they're like, the guy can never get it. He only won one. It's not enough, because they kept failing. Because those 96, 97, 98 teams were Super Bowl teams that didn't get over the hump.
Yeah. So, while we're talking, like I'm trying to envision Ricky Pearsall on this offense, because this is what I've been trying to do since the Super Bowl, is envision what is the next iteration of the 49ers offense. If this Pearsall kid is going to open this passing game up, then maybe he's the right pick. I'm not shitting on the kid. No. Listen, because I went back to my tweets. Because I had him in all my mock drafts. I had Pearsall in all my mock drafts, but I had him in the third round. Right where kind of I thought he'd fall, because he's a fit. He's a scheme fit. It's just the overdraft is where it's like shit. But at the same time, if he's the guy if he ends up being a Wes Welker, then you hit on the pick. Mm-hmm. But if he ends up being a Trent Taylor, then you missed on the pick. Right? That's just kind of the balance here that I'm trying to figure out. How do I envision this kid in the offense?
He can't just be a Trent Taylor, because he's limited in some regard physically, But Trent Taylor, like he wasn't speedy, he wasn't agile, he was just a guy that was like, he's not terrible at anything, but he's not even average at anything either. You know what I mean? He was just a guy that kind of got it done. Whereas Pearsall does have some elite aspects, like you put up that 3-cone drill, like he's extremely agile and he can cut very quickly, which is obviously very valuable for a wide receiver.
Vish is in the chat. Why isn't he on the show? Vish says, Herm Edwards, fellas, they swear by the man. I brought it up earlier, Vish. Joseph.
Listen,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I was going to say, because Herm Edwards swore by Ayuk. He swore by him.
Yep. Joseph Faccio says, I'll take endless super chats if the Niners draft a running back tomorrow. Matt Miller, ESPN NFL draft analyst, has an interesting tweet that I'm going to share on the screen as soon as I get my stuff together. Don't know why I didn't do that while y'all were talking, but apparently I'm an idiot. Matt Miller says, from a non-Bills scout, trading back to 33 for Buffalo is super smart. Now they have all day tomorrow to try and trade for T. Higgins or one of the 49ers wide out.
I just said that.
If Ayuk goes for 33, first pick of the second round, how do you feel, Levin?
Not happy. There's no trade that's going to make me happy about Ayuk. They're prospects at the end of the day. To me, you do not trade all pro players in their prime. Those are the guys you pay.
Brisbee Life on Twitch says that would be disgusting.
Now, if they trade Debo, a Debo with Josh Allen combination,
scary.
You might see an option offense.
Some mutants in that freaking team. My
God.
God.
Can you imagine an option running with Josh Allen and Debo being the two guys? Like, that would be scary.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
I'm with Levin. You don't trade all. You can trade an all pro wide receiver, but you have to trade the one that's regressing. The one that's regressing has got to go, and that's 19. I love Debo. I think Debo's a great player. I think he's outstanding. He's done a lot of great stuff for this team. But if you're going to make this transition to commit to your quarterback, you need to get a more of a passing offense, less gadgety stuff. If you're going to send Debo on. If you're going to get 33, then take 33 and you run with Pearsall and Ayuk and you figure out what you can get at 33. And if you get 33, you go get Cooper DeJean or you go get a tackle that you liked, then yeah, you're winning. But I'm not taking just 33 for Debo. I need 33, maybe next year's third, 33, and a fourth rounder this year. I need a little bit more to get Debo off this team to make it make sense. But I'm not just taking 33. No way.
The Shanahan-Lynch press conference is underway. Kyle Shanahan praised Ricky Pearsall's versatility. Quote, there's nothing you can't do. You can fit him in any role based on other guys. John Lynch apparently quickly mentioned his punt returning ability, which...
Yeah, I looked it up. He had 11 returns for 126 yards last year. Before that, he didn't really do punt returns.
Kyle also said, he reminds me... I can't believe I'm going to read this out loud. I can't believe this is a statement I'm going to read out loud. Our head coach said this about the team's first round draft pick at number 31 in the NFL draft. I'm not making this up. Kyle Shanahan, quote, he reminds me of myself, except a lot faster with much better hands, and he can jump. Let me just tell you, I've said this many times, but it's automatically relevant here. Mohamed Sanu was on this team. He told me on the record during an interview that Kyle Shanahan shows his own wide receiver film from Texas to wide receivers on the 49ers now. So, like, Kyle really thinks he played the position the right way. They took Pearsall because he reminds Kyle Shanahan of himself. I could already
you weren't good at Texas.
I could already see Grant Cohn typing the article. He's doing it.
Oh my God.
I mean, that is a quote. And look, we're on Twitter, and I haven't heard the context, and maybe there's some context that I don't know.
I'm sure he was kind of joking, but
no,
there's truth there. One of those things he probably tried to pass off as a, but at the same time, like, he's saying it because, yeah, he kind of saw himself.
In every joke, there is a bit of truth, they say, right? I mean, he reminds me of myself. Leaping says it's the beginning of the end for Coach Kyle. Vish says Kyle can't be a serious human.
Look, Kyle has a long leash. Jed's gonna let him do whatever it is, because you know what? He's earned it, and the Niners keep making the playoffs. Jed York prints money at that stadium. You get one home playoff game, he is content. They've gone from we don't just hang up NFC Championship banners now to, well, if we didn't win the Super Bowl, it's not that bad of a year.
Yeah.
They've changed their philosophy. Like he's cool just cashing the checks. And listen, if Pearsall's the difference between the 3rd and 3 to first down conversions, then awesome. But it's like, I don't know, man. That comment from Kyle just rubs me the wrong way. Like, he reminds me of me. Kyle, you weren't very good at Texas. I live in Austin. Like,
that's like the remix of T.O. saying, "I love me some me."
Except
T.O. was really good though.
Right. A pizza says, "I'm dead inside. May I suggest a pizza?" Let me throw this up on the screen. Maybe it'll make everybody feel better. Here's Steve Smith Sr., who's a really good wide receiver.
He likes him.
He's talking about Ricky Pearsall. I haven't heard this yet. He talked about him. I don't even know where this was, so I apologize. But here's Steve Smith on Pearsall.
Stop calling him Ricky Pearsall and call him what his real name is. Slick Rick is what they call him. Great vision, stands out. He knows exactly where he needs to be. Played with 3 different quarterbacks with 3 different styles of play. Look at this. Oh, I'm about to drive on him. Got him.
Woo! Double move.
Look at this quarterback. Every indication he might be playing for the other team. Look at this play. Runs a little fake screen. How do you think this is going to end up? Wow!
Oh, took a big shot, held onto the ball. That one-handed
nice
backhand
strong
catch.
Headache ball. Ooh. The one had that stanky leg. He got all the way down to the floor. Against South Carolina. My notes. Wow. That's all I'm going to say.
He stacked him.
Tracking the ball over the shoulder, over the opposite shoulder, made a nice.
His ability to adjust will be required in the services in the National Football League. Stop calling them.
That's not bad. I mean, does that make you feel any better?
I've seen all this. That's why I had him in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
Like I just thought he was a 3rd round pick. If he's a first rounder, he's a first rounder. Like, if you love the kid and you think he's gonna be this outstanding Wes Welker type or even Roddy White type, like, then cool, awesome, great, that's your guy, awesome. But right now, based on where the Niners are in their roster construction, it feels like a reach. But again, like you said, Rob, what if they hit on the next 3 picks? Okay, then cool. Then we've done going into this draft, the Niners need to get 4 starters out of this draft. They need 4 starters and 6 long-term pieces out of this draft. They have to.
You're talking about 4 year 1 starters or 4 starters?
Year 1, 4 starters in general.
That's so hard.
Is it though? They did it in 2019.
I think they need 1 offensive line starter for sure. I wouldn't necessarily say a corner starter because they have 2 good corners. They need, unless you're counting getting a guy that's going to be nickel or move Demo to nickel full time and have the other guy starting outside. Like, I could see that as number 2, but I don't see 4 spots that they need. There's 4 spots that could use an upgrade, but not necessarily need.
Shout out to the almost 4,000 people that are watching us right now. Please like and subscribe to the Gold Standard YouTube channel. We are here every single day for you, live streaming the 49ers. Come hell or high water, good, bad, and ugly. We are here for you. So please like and subscribe to the channel. Warlock says, so if Pearsall is our new slot receiver to help Purdy, does it mean less touches for Kittle, Debo, or CMC? We don't need Pearsall when we have Kittle.
I would say yes to one of those for sure, and probably 2 of them. I would say less to Debo and CMC. Debo for sure.
The Shanahan-Lynch combo has gone out of their way to praise Pearsall's blocking. We know no block, no rock. What's up, Javi?
So so the San Francisco 49er Twitter account just released like a 7-second clip of John Lynch saying BA just texted us with the emoji fire pick for the Pearsall thing. So 1, BA and John Lynch is talking, which is good. Yeah. And 2, the Pearsall IU combination is kind of listen. If it's the right guy, it's the right guy. Like, at the end of the day, it's the right. It is what it is. But I like the fact that Lynch and Ayuk are talking. Yeah. Get this guy signed. You keep Ayuk, for crying out loud.
Can I just throw out a conspiracy theory that just hit me? I'm not saying I believe it, but I was like, that's kind of interesting. the fact that they are texting like that when they're in the contract negotiations, normally a player goes dark with the GM when his agent is negotiating contract. What if all this like Ayuk potential trade and the fact that they were listening on the Ayuk deals and all that was just to get teams that were wide receiver needy calling them saying, hey, can we get Ayuk, so that they could counter and say, well, we're not really interested in trading Ayuk, but we have Debo. Like drum up the interest of Debo by leaving the Ayuk thing out there, because it is kind of eyebrow raising that those two are literally talking to each other in a contract negotiation period.
Maybe. I mean, look, with this 49ers team, they originally called for Tom Brady and then they ended up trading for Jimmy Garoppolo. So who the hell knows? Or King Crazy YouTube channel member says trade Debo before BA. Debo is over. If you're watching on the stream right now, you can see Ricky Pearsall when he got word that he was going to be a 49er, and the draft party is going absolutely bananas, probably because he never expected in his wildest dreams to be a first round pick. But nonetheless, it's cool to see. I like that.
It is weird, like his connections. Like I said, he grew up 15 miles away from Purdy, and they were in high school at the same time. I don't know if they played against each other for sure, because they are 2 years apart. I don't know Phoenix area high school football, but they grew up very close to each other. You have the fact that he was a teammate with Ayuk, and you have the Herm connection, which we've already talked about. Herm is basically a scout for the 49ers.
Yeah.
Rob, we're the same person. We're literally looking at the same thing, the RAS score.
There we go. Lombardi tweeted out the RAS score for Ricky Pearsall. Of course, Lombardi is 49ers cheerleader, but this is good news. There's a lot of green on this chart. I don't know exactly what it all means. If you do, Javi, maybe you could explain.
So
it.
I used to work for Pro Football Network. It's just the way it's just the RAS score is how the Green Bay Packers usually draft. They use their RAS score as it's just like one of their point of references. Anything green or anything above like a 7.5 or something means elite trait. So obviously his 40-yard dash is 4.41. 20-yard split is outstanding. 10-yard split, a little slow, but he has really good feet, right? The 42-inch vertical is the one that's kind of like, oh, shit, because we know we have a shorter quarterback, right? He's not going to be able to see over offensive linemen or defenders. So you got to get him off the pocket. So he might throw the ball a little higher. Like, example is the Juwan Jennings pass against Detroit where he kind of goes up and gets it. Like, that's the kind of stuff you may have to do, He fits the scheme. It's just, again, it just feels like a reach. But otherwise, everything about the kid makes sense for this roster. It's just the fact that you took him at 31. It's like, it's kind of like the Solomon Thomas thing. You shouldn't have took him at 3. You probably could have got him at 40, right? That's kind of, that's kind of where we are with the Pearsall thing. But he made a lot of sense for a lot of teams from what I've read over the last couple months. And again, to me, he fits the Niners' offensive scheme. He blocks, he runs really good routes, he gets open, and then of course you add in the Kyle Shanahan factor of him being able to get people got open. And I'm all in with this guy, James Thomas. He's been pretty on brand with the Pearsall pick. He likes it, The 3-cone is nasty. The 42-inch vertical. He mentioned all that stuff throughout the chat. Like he's all over it, right? I had the guy as a 3rd-round pick, but I'm not the one making the picks. So if Kyle sees value in this kid, then let's go, Kyle. Then make it work and figure it out. But again, it feels a little bit redundant if he's going to do similar things to Debo. That's all.
Nicholas LaRocca in the chat says, can he kick field goals? Well done. Nicholas Parra in the super chat says, Niners always reach in the first, but let's see this play out and end the draft before we continue to judge. It's going to be interesting for sure. I completely agree. I know this is an old man reference, but I'm going to say it anyway. You're holding a Polaroid picture right now, and it's not done developing. You got to wave it around a little bit, let the picture develop, and then you'll be able to see the whole thing in a little while. Nick Wagner just tweeted out, Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch made it sound highly unlikely that they'll be trading either of their star receivers, Ayuk or Debo, during this draft. They did not completely close the door, but Shanahan said it was not likely. Maybe that just means we haven't gotten make your offers higher, people. Like that literally could be all that. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah. I mean, I think it was always more likely than not they don't trade Ayuk or Debo. And the percentages of that can only go up now, in my opinion. Like, yeah, they drafted Pearsall, but people have been saying for the past month, don't be surprised if the Niners go wide receiver in preparation for moving on from one of these, which that was always, we're not going to name Debo because Debo will go throw it up on Instagram if we name him. But the drafting so that they can then move on from one of them the following year is 100% Debo. Like, you're not going to keep Ayuk around for his 5th-year option and then move on. I would think that's highly unlikely. It's the Debo. They can save, I think it's $17.7 million next year doing a post-June 1 cut of Debo.
Diego Figueroa, YouTube channel member, says, you don't actually need to shake a Polaroid photo. I know, Diego, but guess what? We all did, okay? Don't lie. We all shook the Polaroid. Everybody had their system. Some people shook it. Some people tapped it. Whatever you did.
Well, I would say probably half our viewers don't even know what a Polaroid is anymore.
We're old, guys. We're old.
Patrick Costero on X says, it doesn't matter if you have all the options. And if Purdy doesn't have time to throw due to the O-line weakness. Look, the O-line is the same O-line that they had last year. Right now, Purdy was fine last year. He made up for a lot of the offensive line. I think that maybe part of the thinking with Pearsall is Brock has said many times this offseason he wants to work on his mobility. I'm wondering if Kyle and John are like, hey, look, we're not going to force the offensive line picks. Worst comes to worst, we'll lean on Brock to make up for it. Give me a guy like Pearsall who could maybe run around out there when Brock's doing a scramble drill, and maybe that'll help us that way.
Do you want me to piss you off right now, Rob?
If I said no, would it stop you?
No, it wouldn't. Guess what? If they have 3 really good wide receivers, you know what that opens the door to having the flexibility to do? Keep Kittle in more to help your offensive line be better.
Hell yeah.
You've succeeded, Levin. You found it.
I know that will piss you off, but it's not incorrect. If you have 3 really good wide receivers and you go a 3 wide receiver set, you have the luxury of keeping Kittle in, which would boost your offensive line considerably. You don't want to do it, but if you can't get an offensive lineman that you like to improve that offensive line, but you got that 3rd option out there, so you don't need Kittle running the routes, that is an option.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to pay George Kittle all that money to block, but here we go. Okay, so then I read that tweet from Nick Wagoner, right, about Debo and Ayuk. Kyle Kami says, Lynch and Shanahan definitively did not say Ayuk and Debo are off the trade market now that the first round is over. They're obviously listening to whoever checks in. The story goes on. So those 2 people in the room with Lynch and Shanahan, and they had 2 completely different takeaways from what was said about Ayuk and Debo.
Yeah, it's because one person goes, well, they said not likely, so that means it's not likely. And the other person looks at it more cynically, surprise, TK there, and says the fact that they're not saying we're not trading one of them means the door is open, which is more the truthful. If they're saying not likely, it means, okay, we will listen.
Nicholas Parra says, you guys think the Niners really wanted Worthy? I think if the Niners really wanted somebody, they would have moved up.
Yeah.
Because they certainly had the ammunition. They have 10 they had 10 picks. I think they would have moved up. All right, Javi, I'm going to put you on the spot. Johnny Newton, Kool-Aid McKinstry, Roger Rosengarten, Cooper DeJean, Jackson Powers Johnson. Let's say they're all there for the 49ers in round 2. Who do you want?
Jackson Powers Johnson.
I would sign.
I go with this. I go with the center. The Niners need an interior offensive line. Kyle Shanahan values center. We know this. Alex Mack, he went after Richburg. Like, he's going to value the center. He makes the most sense for this offense. He's played in multiple offenses. I'm cool with Jackson Powers Johnson. I was kind of just looking at, while you guys were talking, I was just looking at what's available in round 2 and 3. Like, this is the time where you go ahead and get your Jackson Powers Johnson and then get your safety, right? Maybe you go get Cole Bishop out of Utah, Javon Bullard at Georgia. Like, you can crush it right there. There, you solidify 2 positions that you need, and you go forward. And the other part is, even at offensive tackle, let's pay. If apparently people love Patrick Paul. If Patrick Paul's a guy that needs to sit for a year and needs to learn and develop, then you do that. Or Roger Rosengarten might still be available. Like, I'm cool with what's available. Even Blake Fisher, right? Zach Frazier, the kid out of West Virginia. Like, if he's available at 63, you jump all over Zach Frazier. Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, I think they have an opportunity to solidify this draft. I really think Matt Mayoka's been hinting at this for the last couple of weeks. They want nothing to do with this Trey Lance, like, aura. pick 124. They want to trade it. Like he keeps mentioning that they want to trade pick 124.
Well, the pick they got for Trey Lance,
they just want it like away, like from them for something else.
Stupid. That is ridiculous.
I know.
First of all,
but the last 3 podcasts he's mentioned it. That they pick 124 is on the table. What does it matter at this point?
Yeah.
Like, who gives a shit? Like, what are you talking about?
That's ridiculous. If that's true, they're idiots. And that was a great trade for the 49ers. They got more for Lance and his 4 career starts than anybody else got for any other 2021 quarterback that was traded. I don't know what the hell the Cowboys were thinking, but I mean, the idea that, we're going to get rid of this pick because it was connected to Trey Lance. Like, what? We should get rid of you. You're connected to Trey Lance.
But no, if they end up with an offensive lineman and a DB on tomorrow, then I'm happy. I'm good. I'm absolutely great with that. If they can somehow get if they can come out of tomorrow with 3 picks, even better. I would like for them to get 3 picks tomorrow, because after the 4th round, this thing kind of falls off because of the NIL money that's involved, right? A lot of these guys didn't come out, so that the last half of the draft is just really. It is questionable. So we'll see how it goes. But I think they end up with 3 picks tomorrow, and they end up with a safety, a corner, or a safety and a linebacker. And as long as they touch on the offensive line, I will be happy. Let's not forget, this team just was in the Super Bowl. They have a strong roster, right? There's not too many rookies that are coming here and start right away, but they need to come out of this draft with 4 guys that'll be long-term starters. They have to. That would be an extremely successful draft. I think they can do it though.
Oh, certainly they can.
I will say there's one guy left that I think is no doubter. He's going to come in. He's going to be borderline Pro Bowl starter right off the bat. And you mentioned him earlier. That's Powers Johnson. He's the one guy that I think just about unanimously teams would agree, like, that's a day 1 starter that's likely going to be better than 2/3 of the league's centers right away. My question is, if the Niners do somehow trade up and get Powers Johnson, what do you do with Brindle? Do you just release him?
Keep his ass on the bench.
But what's the point of having him on the bench? Do you, like, at that point,
you save like $5 million if you release him, something like that?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, at that point, I think you release him.
I don't know. I want to get to this update quickly. On KMBR, Lynch said about IU, quote, "The thing I'm excited about right now with BA is there's a lot of positive talk. We're having a lot of good discussions towards trying to get something done, and we're excited to continue that." Take that for what it's worth. Maybe he's just trying to get a higher price out of somebody else. I have no idea, but he did say that on KMBR. My Real Name on YouTube says, Niners will trade up for Cooper DeJean to complete the infinity gauntlet of all white skill players. Rock, Juice, McCaffrey, Cooper DeJean.
That's funny.
Oh, man. Look, just deep breaths, people. Deep breaths. If you're wondering, by the way, Michelle Majuk has texted me when the pick came in, quote, "Disgusting. So gross. Why take a bad wide receiver in the first round when it's a loaded class? Could have got a better wide receiver in the second round. Ricky was my 14th wide receiver in the class, and I only put him there because people like him." Needless to say, she's not happy. A lot of that reaction from fans. Steve Smith.
The more I think
every
about
fan's
it
going to
fits.
hate this pick until training camp starts.
Mhm.
And then everybody will
fits.
come around and be, oh, what can he be? I really like him. I've always liked him.
He fits.
Michelle won't go there, but
He fits. He absolutely fits what they want to do. He fits. At the end of the day, he just fits. And it's a matter of he picks up this offense quickly enough. That's where we're at with this kid. I think I don't know. I mean, Steve Smith said they ran 3 different offenses. Okay, cool. Let's try to run the Kyle offense.
It's not a matter if he picks up the offense, Javi. I disagree. It's a matter of how much can he imitate Kyle Shanahan at Texas, apparently.
So 3 catches,
Damn, take that, Kyle. All right. We're an hour and a half into this thing. I got to be honest with you. I got to wrap it up because I got to still do 49ers in 5. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and my daughter's going to wake up in about 5 hours. So
I got to be up for work in 3.5.
Good. I want to thank both of you, especially you, Javi. Levin, I don't care about, but
I missed
Javi.
this.
Yeah, man.
I missed this. For those who give a shit, I got promoted again today. So life is good. But I do want to get back to doing.
What promotion did you have left? I thought you were like GM of the thing. Are you now the region?
No, I'm actually on the. It's a sales management position. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but I just keep moving up, and I've focused on that for the last couple of years. So I do want to get back into this, though. Trust me, I've been itching. I sent Rob the Chappelle emoji with I got the itch, Yeah. But yeah, no, it's good to see you guys, man.
I did buy a Camry last week.
Did you really? You didn't call me first?
You're down in Texas. I'm in Pennsylvania. I didn't buy new. I don't buy new.
Okay. I got you. I still got you a better deal.
You are
possible. It had to be red. It had to be black leather. And I have a whole bunch of I have learned if I don't buy a red car, it will be gone in 2 years.
Okay, I got you.
I have a red car. And I hate it.
You never drive your car. You don't leave your basement.
That's why I have red. I don't really care about it. Real quick, what's your number one? Javi, you sell cars for a living. What's your number one must-have in a car?
Right now, Apple CarPlay. Absolutely, can't live without it.
Levin?
Can't live without it.
Mine, probably great gas mileage because I drive 27 miles one way to work. So, and I'm a very frugal person who does not like to waste money.
There you go. We are going to be live. We'll be live tomorrow as well. So please come on back. We're going to be doing a live draft show tomorrow. Levin, you're welcome to join. If not, Javi, of course, you're welcome to join as well. If nobody can join, I'll be doing it myself. But we are going to be live here for rounds 2 and 3 because I think the 49ers is going to be much more active. So hopefully we'll have some more fireworks. Come get mad about the picks. We can do it together. We can commiserate. But please join us tomorrow. Like and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell. You'll get notified every time we go live. Please leave us a 5-star rating and a review wherever you get your audio podcast. Enjoy the rest of your night. Javi, Levin, thank you.
Thank you.